Oh, please rise. Got all my notes. No, that's it. Today we remember those who fought on D-Day on June 6, 1944, and during the 3-month-long Battle of Normandy. Those who died and all those who were part of the war effort and the victory over Nazi Germany. We remember those who did not return and are buried overseas. From the catchment area of this legion, I'm going to go through them by name, is Arthur Surratt of Pigneys Point, age 27, with the North Nova Scotia Highlanders. He died on the 11th of June, 1944, and he died of wounds he sustained on the 7th of June, so he's buried in Surrey, England. From Cumul's Hill, George Fitzgerald, age 23, Algonquin Regiment, died the 10th of August, 1944, buried by a town in Calvados in France. The cemetery is Baretteville-sur-Lez Canadian War Cemetery. From Little River Harbor, Percy Boudreau, age 24, the Fusilier de Montréal, died the 14th of August, 1944, buried in Baretteville-sur-Lez. Robert Boudreau, age 21, Royal Hamilton Light Infantry, August 12, 1944, buried in Baretteville-sur-Lez. Lewis he's from Wedgeport. Also from Wedgeport, Louis Cuttrell, age 28, Le Régiment de Maisonneuve, died July 26, 1944, buried in Baretteville-sur-Lez. From Wedgeport, Anthony Surratt, Royal Hamilton Light Infantry, died 20 of August 1944, buried in Baretteville-sur-Lez. From Murray's Hill, Joseph Babin, age 25, Regina Rifle Regiment, 16th of August 1944, buried Baretteville-sur-Lez. World War II veterans with us here today. Wesley Spinney, Royal Canadian Navy. Sid LeBlanc, who was with the Royal Canadian Artillery. Miff O'Connell, Royal Canadian Dragoons. Now you're going to have to, some people I'm not sure what their regiments were. Charles Muse, Princess Louise Fusiliers. Roland Burke, Royal Canadian Artillery. Owen Atkinson, Royal Canadian Engineers. Nelson Blashaw, I think West Nova Scotia Regiment. Right. West Nova Scotia Regiment. Beatrice Cuttrell,
Women's Army Corps.
Women's Army Corps. I knew somebody that way. And Lorraine Cuttrell, which would have been the same.
Our General Counsel for Atlantic, Madame Laurence Montméran, is sending her regrets for not being with us today, as she has to attend another commemoration event. So I'm representing her in my capacity as Honorary Consul for France in Halifax. Today is an important day, as both our Prime Ministers, the Honorable Edouard Philippe and the Honorable Justin Trudeau, are gathered at Juno Beach for the solemn commemoration of this anniversary of the Battle of Normandy. Je souhaite exprimer toute la reconnaissance de la France envers les combattants canadiens, dont beaucoup sont tombés sur nos plages en Normandie. We do not forget how the courage and the sacrifice made by Canadian soldiers contributed to our liberation. I wish to express the gratitude of the French people for the sacrifice that Canadian soldiers made to liberate our country, especially the 7 soldiers from this town who lost their lives for the liberation of Normandy. Arthur Jean Surratt, Anthony Georges Surratt, George Leonard Fitzgerald, Percy Joseph Boudreau, Robert Francis Boudreau, Louis Georges Cotreau, and Joseph Laurence Babin. I would also like to pay tribute to the 4 members of the Royal Canadian Legion of Wedgeport, who are Knights of the French National Order of the Legion of Honor, which is the highest French distinction, in recognition for their contribution to the liberation of France. 2 of them are here today, A. Wesley Spinney, and Alcide J. Leblanc. Thank you so much for what you did. Whether as a Marine in the Royal Canadian Navy like you, Mr. Spinney, or as a gunner in the Army like you, Mr. Leblanc. You were both very young when you took part in the D-Day, and on behalf of the French people, I wish to highlight your bravery and your dedication in the name of core values. Les valeurs de justice, de tolérance et de liberté qui vous ont guidés gardent toute leur modernité et sont porteuses de sens pour les prochaines générations. The values of justice, tolerance, and freedom which guided you then are still meaningful today and show the way to future generations. French people know how much they owe to Canadian soldiers. We will never forget them. They actually made it possible to live in a peaceful country where democratic principles prevail. C'est en diffusant ces valeurs et ces convictions que nous donnons un sens au sacrifice de ceux qui ont combattu ou sont tombés sur le champ de bataille. C'est la seule manière de nous acquitter de la dette éternelle que nous avons envers eux. It is by further spreading these values and convictions that we will give a sense to the ultimate sacrifice made by those who fought or fell on the battlefield. This is the only way we can pay the eternal debt we have towards them. Du fond du cœur, merci à vous, messieurs les anciens combattants et madame. From the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much for what you did. Merci.
I'm going to ask Mr. Musgrove and Clinton Solney to come forward. What we're going to do is Mr. Musgrove is going to present some D-Day pins to our World War II veterans. These pins are provided by the Royal Canadian Legion, not by France, but we're going to have the representative of France give the pins because it gives a little bit more meaning to the pins that they're presented by France. So I'll ask Mr. Musgrove and Clinton Sonia to come forward.
And to visit that beach, and of course the beaches that are by it. It is sobering to think of the distance when they talk about when they were really trying to organize it so that it was mid-tide, that we had a full moon, and all those things. Nothing worked out correctly, and most of it was low tide, and that beach is a long distance from where the water's edge is to where the towns are along that beach. And if you can think and close your eyes to think of the distance and the impossibility of what they accomplished on those few days. I've had the opportunity also to visit Benny-sur-Mer, to see that war cemetery. And the words, of course, they shall not grow old, really hits home at that time. When you see the ages of the individuals, of those fighting men, 19, 18, 21, the occasional 46-year-old, but I tell you, the young men that so bravely fought on behalf of Canada. And again, I'm humbled to be here. We will remember them.
I also want to thank those veterans that came back after the war and continue to build on the Legion's foundation. You continue to support one another in a spirit of comradeship. you continue to provide service to your community and ensured that the veterans and their families were well cared for. God bless those veterans that are with us today, and God bless those that never returned. May they rest in peace, lest we forget, lest we forget.
2 years ago, when I was kind of